Hello guys, I'm Super Ron, welcome back to the channel and we're here again at AutoShack continuing the work on this stunning 300ZX. As you saw in the last episode, part 1, we're doing an automatic to manual gearbox conversion on this car. So as you saw in the last episode, part 1, we removed everything that is automatic on this car and it all came out with ease because this car has done just 21,000 miles. It was a fresh JDM import, so even though it's a 1993 car, it came apart like a car that was barely 5 years old. We removed the gearbox, the torque converter, the flex plate, the prop shaft, all the wiring that was associated with the auto side of the gearbox, and also we got all our parts out from Z1 Motorsports. They supplied all the parts for the conversion, including the brand new 98 spec 300ZX twin turbo manual gearbox. We fitted their upgraded flywheel and clutch setup, so in this episode we're all ready to slot that gearbox in.
And here are the two boxes side by side. You can see size wise they're about the same, but the auto box is a lot heavier. It's still got its loom attached that goes to the ECU for the auto box controller, but the new kit comes with a new starter and alternator loom as well, so they must be different somewhere. So we've got to get back on the car and get the starter loom out. So that is what we're going to do first. That's more difficult than getting the gearbox out. The plugs go right here to take the alternator out. There's no room for anything under there, but we've got it out. So let's compare it to the other one. So here are the two looms together. They're the same size, got the same plugs this end, and this one's just got the starter plug that matches up. The alternator ones match up, and these plugs at the end. These plugs were just for the auto box alone, so we don't need any of them now. But the only one we've got extra is this round one here, which I'm not quite sure what that one is for. We've not got it on our old loom, so I'll have to look into that. And we've got this extra tail here. I need to look in the instructions what we connect that to. Another upgrade that's part of this kit is an upgraded clutch fork and release bearing. So we've got all new genuine parts, all the release bearings, all new in the boxes. The old one is hollow, and this new one is a completely solid piece. I don't know if there's a bending problem, but we'll get these swapped over. And with that all on, as Paddy would say, I think it is time for the bun to see the oven. It's time to make this car a manual. And of course, as always, when I was stripping it down, I tagged and bagged everything so it's all nice and organised. Everything's in its correct bags. But this new kit does come with all new hardware for all the gearbox parts. So we've got all new bell housing bolts here. So that'll be nice and neat, and they'll go in a bit nicer. See, they're exactly the same as the original ones. So we can get it on. And another upgrade is this billet gearbox mount. Should stiffen things up from Z1 Motorsports, and of course comes with all the hardware we need. So we'll get this bolted up and the gearbox will be mounted. Then another upgrade is the one-piece prop instead of the heavy two-piece. But it comes with a 4-bolt flange on the end, so it comes with this little adapter and all the bolts we need to convert it to the 6-bolt Nissan flange, like on the diff. So we'll get that bolted up and then we can move on again.
So back in the interior, we've got our gear selector hole, the mount, and you can see the prop shaft down there as well. So we've got some more bits from Z1 Motorsport. We've got their upgraded shifter kit. Nice spherical bearing in there to give a nice clean shift. So that bolts onto there. And because we've got this big hole for the auto box, they've got this super nice plate that should bolt in there and seal it all up. It's even got the seal on the top to seal it all up to the tunnel. So next up, let's get this shifter in.
And we have gears. We're officially a manual.
Next up, before fitting the loom, see that black plate down there? That is where the clutch master cylinder goes. So the chassis is all ready for it. Just on the autos, they spot weld that black panel in there. There's two little spot welds, one there and one near the bottom. So if we get them off, pop this out and the clutch pedal should go straight in. I found out why we had our extra sensor on the loom for the manual gearbox that we didn't have on the auto, and that is in fact because this is for a left-hand drive and it's for the oil pressure sensor there. See the round plug, the same as this one here, but because ours is right-hand drive, we've got the steering rack this side, so they move it to this side.
What an absolute mission it's been getting this wiring loom in and out. It's been harder than doing the manual conversion itself. It goes up there, past the steering rack, past the engine mounts. There's no room to get in there from the back, so I actually had to take the alternator out and then unbolt it from the wire, because you can't get your hand up through there past the rack. Probably be loads easier on a left-hand drive car. And then I had to disconnect this bolt with the alternator hanging, take the alternator out, but we've got all our bits, all our bolts, so we can get this all back in. And back inside, this is on the other side of that plate we took off. See the holes are already in the foam. We've just got to pick them out. And we'll have the holes for the bolts. Pop out like that. That's where the bolts go through. And the other one. Then we can put our pedal on. And here are the pedals. This is the original big whopper auto pedal that I've just taken out. It's got two switches on there. And these are the new pedals that came with the kit. Genuine manual pedals, clutch and brake. And these have got a sensor on each. So one's obviously brake lights. I think the other might be cruise control or for start. What I have seen some people do is just keep this brake pedal and just chop it in half there. So you've just got that pad on there. Then you don't have to remove that. But as we've got them, I'm going to do the whole job properly and fit them. And then we'll see if the wiring lines up for these plugs.
Little update, got all three pedals in, all the switches are connected up there. The only one I had to extend was for the clutch switch, which used to be both on the brake switch, but now it's on the clutch switch. And I think that's for starting. Before you had to have your foot on the brake to start, and now you have to have your foot on the clutch to start. And the brake light switch is still on the brake pedal, obviously. We've got our shifter in, and that really nice panel from Z1 finishes it off nicely. So the last bit of wiring we've got to do is around the front. We put the manual gearbox loom in, which goes from the gearbox with the neutral, speedo and reverse switch along to the starter, along to the alternator that you saw we put in, then all the way back up to the top here, and it plugs into the car loom. Down there behind the headlight there's lots of connectors, and that is all pretty much plug and play to the car loom, except for this one extra plug which had these little tails on. So I did a bit of research and it turns out these are for the reverse light switch. On the auto box we had these 3 plugs here, and then there's a big loom that went along here and all the way down, and that controlled all the automatic gearbox, and that is where the reverse switch was for the auto. So in the back of one of these plugs is the wires for the reverse light, so I've just got to peel these back a bit and connect these 2 into there. Getting this loom in was by far the hardest part of the whole conversion. Everything mechanical has gone together nicely, but trying to thread this loom up behind all these pipes and tanks, we've got them loose, but even then they're all hard lines. That's all for the rear steer hydraulics, but it's all in, all plugged in. The only bit that wasn't plug and play was this reverse switch. So I'm going to do that now. And for anyone following this as a conversion of the 3 auto plugs, it's this one right at the front, and the 2 wires we need are this one on the top here, that's pin 4, and this one coming out here, pin 7. They're the 2 for the reverse lights. It doesn't matter what way they go round, but they do match the colours on my pigtails, so I'll join them up colour to colour for the car loom, then we should have reverse lights. And before I get too involved, I've just bridged them together, turn the ignition on, hopefully we have reverse lights. So I'll connect them up to our manual loom. I love how straightforward everything has been with this conversion. Everything has been there in the box, all the nuts, the bolts, the washers, and also how well thought out Nissan planned it all. Here's the original center console for the auto, obviously that's sat on there. When you take this off and look on the back, there's all these bolt holes, and also in the kit, genuine Nissan part. This screws onto there for a gator, for a gear boot. Also in the kit, so you can see all these holes all the way around, go with those screw holes, and that sits on there. And we've even got all the screws as well. Really is a complete kit, I'm very impressed. Could not be easier. You saw me just getting the wheel arch there, and that's because we need to access up here. Apparently that is the start inhibit relay, so it needs to be in park for it to start. Well, we haven't got a park now, so we need to bridge that. And this is the way people do it, just bridge it with a bit of wire. So I will do a more permanent solution, but I just want to double check this will work. Out of the 2 plugs, this is the one with the thicker wires, so this will be a direct bridge, and this should bypass the park. So if we fill everything with fluids now, change the gearbox oil for the new one, we should be good to go. So let's see if it's going to start. We haven't put the exhaust on yet, I just want to make sure everything is A-OK before we put all the underside back on. I want to see if this thing will drive. Speed and reverse. That is the underside all back together. and it moves under its own steam. So we've got the nice one-piece prop with their billet adapter, all in and smooth. Got the gearbox all in.
And the clutch slave cylinder all on. I forgot to film a little problem we had with the clutch line. It was way too long. Because we've got a right-hand drive, our clutch pedal is right above the slave cylinder. But on the left-hand drive American models, this kit is for, it's right over the other side. So it's miles too long. Lucky we've got everything in-house to make 4AN lines. So I made a nice little short right-hand drive one to go straight from the pedal down to the master. And that solved that problem. And we've done the oil change and service on it all. So just the exhaust to go back on. And that's the original genuine exhaust all back on. All the heat shields are on. Everything is fixed back into place just like when it came in. It really is a time warp example. Under here you can just see the shiny prop in the middle on our little adapter. Something we've been waiting on which wasn't in the kit is a speed sensor. But we've just had a manual one turn up. That's the auto one on the left and the manual on the right, slightly bigger. So that will fit in the hole, so we've just got to stick that in. And just done a permanent job on that park switch, so that's joined together. So these can all be wrapped up and tucked back away. And just to finish off the inside, we've got a new, likewise, gear knob. All the fittings and this billet knob. So let's get the interior finished off.
And with it all up and running under its own steam, we can now call this the ultimate 300ZX, the twin turbo with a manual 5-speed gearbox. The owner is going to be super duper happy with it. It's exactly what he wanted now. He's got his pristine, low mileage shell, the twin turbo engine, and it's just missing that gear stick. So now we've got the 5-speed manual in there. And like I said in the first episode, I've got a real soft spot for these. I based my GCSE art project on one of these, made this entire engine from paper mache, including the twin intercoolers down the front, so it's been a real pleasure to work on this fine example. I've been really impressed at how the conversion has gone. We do a lot of engine conversions, gearbox conversions, all sorts of different things, and this has been the most complete kit I've ever seen. Every nut, bolt, washer, everything we needed was all in the pack, and it's mainly thanks to Nissan making it so easy. Everything between the auto and manual was interchangeable. The gearbox mounts, the starter motor, all the rest of the car was manual ready, so everywhere that there needed to be a hole, there was a hole. Everywhere there needed to be a reinforcement bracket, it was all already there. So all the pedals bolted straight in, the gearbox went straight on, and all the other bits we needed were genuine Nissan items, so everything fit perfectly, and it was top quality, being genuine items. He's also fitted the uprated parts of the lightened flywheel, the uprated clutch, and the one-piece prop. So there is plenty of scope now to chase some big power with this if he chooses. All the groundwork is already done. It's going to be a shame to let this Japanese Ferrari go because I've been really enjoying working on it and I just love everything about them inside and out. Or we should probably call it a Japanese Lamborghini, because on the late Diablos it actually have Nissan 300ZX headlights. When they stopped with the pop-ups and they put plain headlights in, these are the items they have. But they do have Nissan written on them here. So what Lamborghini did is just put a little carbon fibre trim across there. So on the late Lamborghini Diablos, it's got these headlights. Look it up. So that's all from AutoShack today. Make sure you subscribe because we've always got something different here, from German to Japanese to supercars to classic cars. There is always something for everyone. And hopefully in the future that will be helpful to other people doing this manual conversion. But after fitting it on myself, I can highly recommend the Z1 Motorsport conversion kit. It really does what it says in the tin. It is a full conversion kit. I'm going to spend the last few moments with the 300ZX. But until next time, make sure you have fun.